Hi there, I'm Jackie Simpson with the Healing Trinity. This is the first time I've done a Facebook Live, and quite frankly, it feels a little bit scary to me. I've posted a lot of videos, I've taught a lot of classes, I've led over 500 workshops, but to me it was a little different because there were people that I could actually work with and kind of feel their vibration. So I'm going to wing it this time. I thought it was really interesting because it's a little bit scary to me, and then I thought, well, if part of my job on this planet is to help people to go from fear to love, then I have to do that myself. And so I look at it and I say, yes, I'm a little scared, but then again, what am I bringing? I'm bringing love. So since I'm bringing love, I can get out of that fear. I wanted to talk to you today because there's a lot of things going on, a lot of struggle, a lot of anger. And I get a notice or an email or a Facebook post every day, sometimes several of them in one day, all saying basically the same thing. Jackie, how can I stay in love and caring when all this crapola is going on? So what I normally tell people is don't go in there. Don't watch a lot of news, know what's going on, but also recognize that we're not sure where the truth is and where some people are exaggerating the truth and where we're just filled with out and out lies. But I also know we're about to get to an election and everybody's getting revved up and the Dow is changing and all these yelling people on the news are telling us what we should do and what we should think. I would like to tell you that after the election, which is just in a couple of days, all this will quiet down. Everybody will be back. It won't. Yelling and screaming has become part of our natural way of being as an American. Other countries too, but I live in this country. And I find that there's so much yelling and so much screaming and so much arguing that when we have a pleasant thought, we're almost embarrassed to say it out loud. So what I'm going to invite you to do, in addition to not spending a lot of time and energy on the news, is also to spend a lot of time and energy on yourself. When you are faced with struggle, when you are faced with anger, you can always find something that's valuable. You can always pick up a pencil, as simple as a pencil is, and say, of all the things in the universe, I'm so glad I have this pencil because I can write a note, and if I don't like it, I can erase it later. I want you to really embrace everything that you have, not simply a gratitude journal at the end of the day, top 10 things to like about today, but to embrace the fact that yes, some yelling and screaming is going on, but there's a purpose for it so that we can bring things to light. I want you not only to recognize in the morning, oh, I love my nice comfy bed, but also to recognize I also like my struggles, because it's in those struggles, it's in that pain that we imagine ourselves better. And once we imagine ourselves better, we envision it, we connect with our spirit guides, then we become better. That's how we get out of struggle. That's how we get out of anger. That's how we get out of fear, by going through it, not trying to avoid it, but actually going through it. And then once we're through it, the other side is so glorious. And we've learned a lot of lessons along the way. Now, I do want to say one thing. When we talk about learning a lot of lessons, this is not spirituality. Learning a lot of lessons isn't being punished because you were on this planet. Learning a lot of lessons is because we decided eons ago that we were going to have some duality. We're going to taste things that we didn't like and get rid of them. We were going to go into some areas like war and disease. And luckily, after many, many wars and many, many eons of time of anger, we have finally decided we don't like that anymore. We're kind of done with that. So now we've gotten to the place where we can say, aha, let's get rid of it. We have gone through the anger. We've gone through the duality. We've gone through the aggravation, the pain, the suffering, the struggle, and we've said, no more. We are finally finished with it. Now, I recognize that having a good attitude gets you pretty far, but not all the way. So in addition to not listening to the news, in addition to having a smile on your face, in addition to actually actively looking for all the cool stuff in your life, I have to admit myself, I usually get in my car out of my garage, so I don't see my front yard very much. The other day, because it was Halloween, I actually walked into my front yard and I realized that there are these bushes with gorgeous, gorgeous yellow flowers, very, very fragrant, that I would have completely missed if the kids weren't coming trick-or-treating. And I want you to start looking at things like that, not just the obvious, but the things that perhaps are there right in your face, but you've kind of forgotten about them, or you kind of let them go, or you kind of never quite embrace them to begin with. Remember that being embarrassed is not helpful. Being pitied is not helpful. What is very helpful is you being empowered. And you know what brings you that power? Love. Absolutely, absolutely, positively. Love empowers us. Love allows us to look at the beauty of the flowers. Love allows us to turn off the news. Love allows us to reach out to people with absolute gratitude, absolute charity. Absolute love, because love is the essence. Love is what brought us all together through source energy, through Mother, Father, God. Now, I've given you some nice things to look at and kind of simple things to look at to say, oh, I'm going to embrace more love. I'm going to, stop and smell the roses. I'm going to stop bitching and complaining about everything that happens. I'm going to stop giving rumors. Maybe I didn't mention all those, but you'll get a glimpse of it as you go through your day. The things that lower your vibration, walk away from. The things that raise your vibration, pull them to you. Good Lord. If you love a delicious cup of coffee in the morning, please savor it. Don't chug it down as you're driving your car. There's no place you have to go to so fast that you can't stop and enjoy. Smell the roses, drink your coffee, hug your children. Now, when we go through all these little bits and pieces, which can add up to a beautiful, beautiful day, there's also something that I want you to look at that is seriously bumping up your spirituality. And when I say this, I mean you to look at 1 week versus 1 year. When we look at any sort of retreat, I don't mean spending an hour in your room in meditation. It's a good thing. I advise everybody to do that. But I also mean to allow you to look and say, what if I did retreat? What if I just moved away from all the woulda, shoulda, couldas? What if I just moved away and invited, if you will, all the wonder to come to me? That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a true spiritual retreat. Go anywhere as long as you're not in work mode. Go anywhere as long as you're not in fear or anger mode. A very good friend of mine, Lynn, is going to be leaving, I think, in 2 days to go to South Africa. And she's going there because there's some very eclectic spiritual postings, if you will, there. I say postings because they have found them in forts in different places in South Africa. I won't go into all of that because it's her story, not my story. But I want you to start thinking in terms of, what can I do to really change myself? What can I do to take the fear and anger and struggle and make it into love? Make it into the absolute perfection of what you were put on this planet to do, which is love and joy and health. I had a group of friends that just recently came back from Paris, which doesn't always sound like a city that you would think is filled with spirituality, but they went there with the intention of Paris lifting them up, of allowing them to be more womanly, allowing them to embrace all of the wonders of the earth. See, that's another thing. Sometimes we think of spiritual retreats and we think of it being difficult, like sleeping, on a wood floor or not really enjoying earth. You are, all of you, all of us, spiritual beings having a physical experience. So you combine that spirituality with the wonder of the physicality. I'm asking you to go on a spiritual retreat that you would love, something where you can boost up your spirituality. In 1 week, you can experience the meditation and the flow of energy from the heavens that may take you a year if you're trying to jam it in between all your work and your family responsibilities. And I'm also asking you to take a spiritual retreat in a way that your body, the earth part of you, would love it, where you can say, yes, I'm bringing all of me together, the spirituality and, of course, the physicality. And when you go and you enjoy things like 5-star hotels and wonderful places to experience, this would be the absolute perfection of who you are, combining physical, combining spiritual, combining mental, and combining emotional. Where you go doesn't make a whole lot of difference to me. I'm just advising you that you go, that you leave behind the struggle and look for a space that will feed your soul. Places that I've gone, of course, Mount Shasta, which is fabulous in Northern California. Couldn't remember that name of that big state, Northern California, Sedona, even places back east where there's just some beautiful trees that open up into this vortex. You may prefer to go internationally. You may prefer, I've been to 49 countries, so I've been to a lot of different places. Some of the places I particularly recommend are Belize and Bali. Any of the places that you feel an attachment to, you've probably experienced in your past lives. So if you feel that attachment to it, you've experienced it in your past lives, this is a really good lifetime to go there, because you brought into this lifetime both what you need to get rid of from past lives and also what you need to embrace. So if you feel a calling, it can be any country, any city, really a strong call to that, then I welcome you to go there. The country that I go to the most, and my favorite for both a spiritual adventure and a cultural adventure, is India. I've been there 4 times, and I recommend it, first of all, for those of you that are really following the spiritual realm. The Kundalini, the Kundalini snake of spirituality, lived in the base of the Himalayas in northern India for over 2,000 years. Since then, it's left in the last few years. But for those of you that don't go that deeply into the spiritual, mental part, and just think of it like this. India's top reason for existing is spirituality. It isn't something that comes and goes for them. It's something that they get up in the morning and the first thing they do is go to temple, either the big temples or the little temples in their home. The first thing they do is praise God. Now, an interesting thing that I didn't know until the first time I went to India, but I was very glad that I found out, is that in the Hindu faith, in the Hindu temples, particularly the large ones, they have all of the deity. You can go into a large Hindu temple and you will see, of course, what you're used to seeing. You'll see Lakshmi, let's say, and you'll see. The Hindus do not believe that there's more than one God. They believe there is one God, and these are different aspects of God. So you have all these different deities that we normally think of as the Hindu deities, the Indian deities. But this was really cool for me because I felt a little bit silly. The first time I went, I did see Buddha, which I thought, well, that kind of fits in. And then I went, there was this beautiful actual painting of this woman in blue holding this baby. And of course, since I was in India in a Hindu temple, it didn't dawn on me that this was probably something to do with Jesus and Mary, because Hindu temple. So I said to my guide, and I pointed and I said, who is that? And he looked at me like I didn't know anything, which I didn't actually. And he said, you do not know Mary and her baby Jesus? And I said, well, of course I know, but that's a Christian symbol, a Christian understanding of the deities. Why do you have it here? And he said, in the Hindu faith, we respect all religions. We look at all what we would call ascended masters or angels as being important. And that really lifted my spirits. It was the first day of my first trip to India, and all of a sudden I loved it more than I had imagined, than all the books I had read. So I want to bring that part out to you, because most of the time, many religions are based on division. They're based on separating people, kind of choosing teams, whether you're this religion or that religion. In the Hindu faith, they believe in unity. They believe in bringing everybody together. So to me, that was a big bump up as far as the spirituality. Of course, the Kundalini snake was there too. The other thing that I felt was really cool when I was in India about their spirituality is that they embrace spirituality as a part of their day-to-day life, moment by moment. Not only do they go and say, yes, we're going to temple to start the day and to end the day, but everything is based on the understanding that God will guide us. So when I would be there and I would say, well, what time do you want me somewhere? Or, what time should I be at that appointment? And they would look at me like, oh, around 2:00, if that's what God wants. And I love that, because it isn't a matter of saying disrespectful. It isn't a matter of saying I'm putting you off. It isn't a matter of not giving me an answer. It was a matter of truly grasping what we as spiritual teachers have been saying all along, that our identity is interwoven with the identity as a spiritual being, that the divine speaks to us on an ongoing basis. And yes, there is such a thing as divine timing. And in that divine timing, maybe I'll be there at 2:00, maybe I'll be there at 3:00. We don't look at it as some sort of a character flaw, as some religions do. Instead, we look at it and say, thank the divine for whatever has come forward. Now, I know when I say certain places, particularly places like India or maybe even Bali and Belize, that many people long to go to these countries, long to have these experiences, but they're a little bit afraid. Like I said at the beginning, we have two things going on here. We have fear and we have love. So I'm asking you, if this is something that calls to you and there's some kind of a fear there, you're afraid it might be too rustic, you're afraid you might have to do all the arrangements yourself. Instead of fear, let's jump over here and grasp onto love. Let's look at how much would you love to go on a spiritual retreat, whether it's to India with me, to Bali with someone else. It's not that important of where you go, as long as it's calling to your heart. I am doing another retreat. This will be my 5th retreat in March, and I just launched it a few weeks ago. As a matter of fact, this is the first couple of days that I've put it out to my larger group. Before this, I just mentioned it to some of my inner circle and sent out some emails for them. I want you to know that what I'm looking for here to express to you is, again, that combination of earth and that combination of spirit, being able to bring the ramp up of spirituality. So in the 2 weeks we're there, it's equivalent to 2 years worth of spiritual study, meditation, even healings, because every day we'll be doing healings, every day we'll be doing meditation, and every day we're staying at a 5-star hotel and having our own personal English speaking guides and wonderful food. So it's an amazing vacation, and it's also an amazing spiritual retreat. Now, if this is something that is of interest to you, please feel free. I set up a website, which is Jackie India 2019, made it really simple. And I guess at the end of this, I can post that. But more than asking you, do you want to go to India with your own spirit guide and live in this wonderful place? But I want to ask you, do you want to go anywhere? Do you want to get out of the hustle and bustle? Do you want to actually embrace your own spirituality? Because if you do, I invite you to do it, and do it with intent. If your intent is to go to India and to see all the temples and all the spirituality and the beautiful culture and the Ayurvedic doctors and the massages, then yes, I invite you to come with me in March. However, if your intention, if what's calling to you is somewhere else, someone else, then please do that. Because it's not so important that you go with me. It's important that you go. Because once you embrace that spirituality, once you really bump it up so that you feel that direct connection to your spirit guides, we are constantly pulling down information, we are constantly celebrating your life, that's when the magic happens. That's when you can look around and say, I don't need to listen to that gabble gabble over there. I can be part of this world and still not get drawn down by it. And the most important thing that you can gift to yourself, to your family, to your country, to your planet, is raising your vibration. Because as you raise your vibration, you raise the vibration of the planet. Thank you so much for listening. I know that a few of you have written to me, and so I'm going to check over there and see what, oh, thank you, Trina. Thank you. Oh, that's so sweet. Just so you know, Trina, I am now doing almost all of my classes and healings online. So you don't have to actually be here in Las Vegas in order to be part of that energy and part of that healing. As I said, this is my first time that I've done a Facebook Live, and I noticed someone made a comment earlier on about the camera. I'll have to check. Lynn is my techie person, and like I said, she's about to go to South Africa, so she couldn't be on with me to make sure that I kept everything in alignment. But I did want to reach out and speak to you right away because, like I said, it's getting louder and louder, but that's all right because you're raising your vibration more and more. And as you're, thank you, Lil, as you're raising your vibration more and more, then that loud, that anger, that struggle will naturally fall away. It has no choice because love is a higher vibration than anger. So the fact that you're the higher vibration, anger has to go away. Please feel free to send me any notes or comments or an email. And now that I've found out how to work Facebook or Facebook Live, I imagine I will be back chatting with you again. Thank you so very much. I love you. I love you. I love you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Blessings, dear ones.